What if someone comes up to you and says, I'd like to start a food truck, but I need to borrow $20,000 from you? And let's say you're very well off and you say, okay, here's 20 grand, but you owe me this back once your model is complete and it's successful. So this acquaintance goes off, but guess what? They burn the money. The food truck just crashes and burns. So many years later, you go back to this person and say, hey man, I need my 20 grand back. And guess what? They don't have it. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Will you forgive me? And you're like, I got to send this person to collections to get my money back. But you know what? They're asking so nicely for basically to forgive this debt. I mean, $20,000 is quite a bit, but you take a deep breath and you're very, very gracious and you forgive them. You just say, look, it's a wash. Don't worry about it. You don't owe me anything. Oh, do you think this person would be full of gratitude? Yeah, absolutely. But then let's say you catch wind of this same person going to one of his acquaintances who only owes him like $100, and that person isn't paying him the $100. And this person who you forgave then goes to their collections and says, you go and harass this person who owes me $100. And you're looking at the situation going, whoa, 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 whoa. I just forgave you 20 grand. And here you are going out and sending this other person who only owes you $100 and you're sending them to collections? Whoa, okay, that's it. I'm calling my debt back, and now you owe me not only the 20,000, you owe me interest on top of that. You are going to suffer. I mean, I would be absolutely livid. That is almost the exact parable that Jesus himself shares right here in Matthew, starting at verse 23. The only difference is he's basically saying it's a king and a servant, but it's the exact same concept. It's this idea of the king forgiving a lot of debt towards someone, but then that someone going out and just sniveling and groveling over just a little bit of debt. Here's why this is important. So Jesus told this parable to illustrate how we as Christians should be forgiving other people. And now you may say, well, of course I forgive people. Wait. Are there some people in your life who you have some resentment towards? They might annoy you a lot. You really don't like to hang around them to the point where you might even talk bad about them at times. That is an indicator of you not being gracious to them. I know for me, there are absolutely some people where I have to take a deep breath and reach down deep inside my soul to be gracious towards certain people. And here's why this is so important, that I extend that grace out to other people. As it says in 1 John, right here down in verse 21, and this commandment we have from him, whoever loves God must also love his brother. It's fascinating all throughout Scripture, this idea of this vertical forgiveness. What I mean by vertical is between me and God. All right, I understand that God forgives me, but an indicator that I truly understand that is I take that same forgiveness that God has for me and I go horizontally and I start to forgive other people using that same ethos, that same understanding, that same belief of forgiveness. Now, there's a big difference between knowledge and belief. I grew up knowing that God had forgiven me, but it wasn't until I actually took action and that materialized into belief and action, that's when that knowledge truly became belief. When I started using that forgiveness and forgiving other people around me. And this connection is so vital that God actually says himself, look, if you don't forgive other people, then I'm not going to forgive you either. That was a huge heart check for me. But again, it's an indicator that if you aren't forgiving people around you, then that means you don't understand, nor do you receive God's forgiveness himself. In the same way that when Jesus was talking about the greatest commandment, again, he tied God's love with the love of those that we have around us. He said, go and love God with everything you have. And in the same way, love those around you. It's hand in hand. So, of any people who you have resentment towards, you better have a heart check real fast and seek them out to forgive them and be gracious towards them. Because if you don't, and if I don't, we're going to be exactly like that servant that the king said, I have forgiven you so much. You don't understand this, do you? Because you're not even extending that same forgiveness to other people. As it says in this verse right here, and I'm going to end with this, by canceling the record of debt that stood against us with its legal demands. That's what God has done for us. He has canceled so much for us Christians. We should probably be really, really quick to cancel that $100 worth of debt, because Jesus himself canceled the proverbial $20,000 worth of debt for us. So be quick to forgive, because God has been very quick to forgive us also.